Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm in my kitchen actually. Today was a rough day for us in my household. I feel like I'm failing as a mother, if I'm being honest. But okay, so this is basically what I'm dealing with right now. My husband picked my son up from school, and his teacher because they pretty much just let the kids run out when the bell rings, and then if they don't see their parents, they come back in, which I think is kind of dangerous. But anyways, the teacher actually had my son go to the car to get my husband and bring him back to speak to him. Basically what has been occurring, and I was not aware of this, my husband was not aware of this, we were just told this today. My son is a bully, basically. And this is really hard for me to say because I preach the importance of treating people with respect, especially, you know, kids, especially in school, especially people that are different than you, especially people who are targeted to be bullied in the first place. We should stand up for them, you know what I mean? So to hear his teacher say that there is, okay, you know what, little backstory. My son, we used to live in Dearborn Heights, which is a very diverse community. It does have a lot of Muslims, but it is, there's an equal mix of different types of people. There are Muslims, there are Christians, there are Jews, and then we all have different, you know, ethnicities. We have, you know, like people from, you know, like Arab descent, we have Caucasian people, white people, black people, Asians, Hispanics. It's a very equal mix, or it's mixed so much that nobody has time to be mean based on, you know, the difference of another person. It was very inclusive in that school. We had halal lunches, which was, alhamdulillah, was amazing. You know, that school has holidays off for Muslim holidays like Eid, not Ramadan obviously, because that's too much, but you know, they have Eid off and things like that. So it was a wonderful school district for my son to be in. We never had issues of people bullying. You know, there were kids that kind of acted out and maybe they put their hands on other children when they should not have, but they just needed to be someone teach them to keep their hands to themselves. It wasn't necessarily bullying, you know what I mean? So to come to this new school in Dearborn, we moved probably about 6 months ago. Ever since we came here, my son has had a hard time fitting in, and he's made it known that he's having a little bit of a hard time. He's trying to make friends, and I thought he was doing okay because we would see kids in the neighborhood, you know, around the house when the weather started getting nice. There's kids outside that he can go play with now, so obviously he does have some friends. But we were informed that this was a couple months ago, I think, we were informed that he was acting out in class, and we think it stemmed from him trying to fit in, because I would notice the atmosphere of the students when I would wait outside the school for my son to get out sometimes, because I'd stand outside, you know, if I don't have the baby and my, you know, middle child, I would go outside and stand there because I want him to see me as soon as he walks out the door. I feel like it's not safe for him to come find my vehicle. But anyways, I've witnessed children, because this school is a lot of children. It's the elementary school and a middle school. This is K through 8 or something like that, K through 9 maybe. It's a very wide range of ages of children. First of all, I find this inappropriate because I don't think that the mentality of an 8th grader should be so mixed with small children like kindergartners and first graders, and then you have 4th and 5th graders. They want to act like the older children. So having them in the same building and seeing how they act with each other, I feel like it's not a good example, and it's not good to mix them in that way. But anyways, I would be outside the school and I would see a group of bigger children picking on a smaller child, very much smaller than them. What, baby? Imani woke up. Okay, I'm gonna get my daughter and then we'll get back into it. So anyways, this group of kids were, you know, taking this child's backpack, throwing it over his head, pushing him on the ground, laughing about it or whatever. So I walk over to them and I'm like, excuse me, you're not picking on this little boy, are you? He's a lot smaller than you. That would be really not cool. And they're like, oh, it's no problem, that's such and such's little brother. I'm like, I don't really care whose brother it is, it's not appropriate. Mommy, yes, failing as a mother. Look at, she drew on her face with pen today, so we're dealing with that as well. But she just woke up from a nap. She had a hard day, so there's that. But anyways, and I'm not telling you this information because I'm trying to blame this school. Go back to what you're doing, honey, okay? Go play.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm not trying to blame the other kids. Obviously, my son is responsible for the choices that he makes. I just feel like it's relevant that the atmosphere is different. He does need to be more accountable for what he's doing, but I do feel like it is influencing him. So if it comes off as making excuses for him, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to look at it from every aspect so I can figure out how to fix it, because it's disturbing to know that my son is a bully. But anyways, a couple months ago, so knowing that we're witnessing these things and we're seeing these things, a couple months ago, my son came to me and said that there was a boy, a group of boys came up to him and said, hey, come with us, we're going to fight this kid. So he's like, what? So he follows, and basically it was a group of boys his age that were going to jump this other boy. I don't know if he was their age or smaller, I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you that my son said, Mommy, I didn't want to hit him. He was on the ground and he was crying and he was scared and embarrassed. I didn't want to hit him, so I told them no, and I brought the boy with me, you know, to get him away from them. And you know, he was visibly upset at the whole situation, but I was very proud of him in that situation as well. Now, give it a couple months later, and then his teacher has me stay after school. When, you know, he comes out, she asks to speak with me, and she tells me that he has been acting out in class, and he's been showing off and being rude, and baby, I can't think when you're playing. I can't. I just lost what I was gonna say. But basically, she said in the hallway on the way out, you know, in the line that they go to the door, there were older kids passing, and my son took this older girl's hood off her head. Like, he pulled her hood off her head. Which, when you hear this, you know, it doesn't sound that serious, but to me it's very serious, because what's the difference between pulling a girl's hood off her head and pulling a girl's hijab off her head? You don't know the importance that that girl has to it. You don't know her reason for wearing it. You know, there's a lot of things that I have wrong with, you know, have a problem with this. So we have that conversation. I said to him, Ibrahim, you know, how would you feel? How would I feel? But how would you feel if someone took my scarf off my head? And you could see on his face that he was upset about this, and he said, very sad, Mommy, I would be very sad. So after this incident, when we had this talk, I thought that, you know, and then on top of that, you know, I did also, because with this conversation we had with the teacher, when we were on our way home and when we got home, I went further into a conversation with him about it, and telling him, you know, you never know how somebody is going to react to what you're doing. It might be a joke to you, but it might hurt to them. So you have to only do nice things, and then if you have a friend that, you know, you guys joke together, that's different. But it's bullying if you don't know how they're going to react, basically. If you think that a joke or a prank is going to be funny and you don't know the reaction, just assume it's bullying, you know. So we had these conversations. Here, I'm going to let you guys go play. Go ahead, Mama. She doesn't want to go ahead, so we're going to keep going. So yeah, we had this conversation, and I checked back in with his teacher. She said that he was, you know, acting better in class, so I was like, great. And then today, my husband goes to pick him up. The teacher asks for him to bring my husband so he can speak to him. Basically, and this is so frustrating for me to say, but okay, there is a boy in my son's class who does not speak English. His family just came to this country a couple months ago, and obviously you can imagine how hard it has to be for this child, you know, to be surrounded by people all day that speak a language that he does not. It has to be hard. Now keep in mind that, you know, it's probably not as hard as, you know, it could have been in other places because this is Dearborn. Okay, so my son is the only kid in the class, or the only person in his classroom that does not speak Arabic. So he does have people that he can talk to, but he's learning a new language in a new country, in a new school. You know, this is all very hard for this child, obviously. And you can just know this. And this is 2nd grade. This is not a time to have to deal with, you know, such a culture shock. But anyways, my son's teacher informed him that Ibrahim has been picking on this child for the fact that he is different and can't speak English and whatever, being new here. And they even felt it necessary to take it as far as to have an exercise done today in the classroom to go around and say nice things about this boy to make him feel better because he's being bullied, specifically by my son. So when they went around, my child refused to say anything nice about this boy and said that he would rather be put out of the classroom than say something nice. This is what the teacher told my husband. And then when the teacher, you know, brought the boy to the front and was trying to say nice things to make him feel good, my son kept interrupting and being rude and saying mean things about this child. Like he's on some mission to hurt him somehow. And hearing this makes me so upset and confused because I don't understand the purpose of it. Like, usually there's a reason behind bullying. You know, the bully has been bullied before, so this is what he does. It's a cycle. Or, you know, there's something going on at home. Please go play. Thank you.
The one handle is broke. The screw is broke.
That's life, man. It's all right.
Can I do it?
No, go play. You know, it's a lot of different reasons, but it doesn't make sense to me. Why would you act that way? You know, so I'm frustrated with this. My husband tells me this. He has a talk with my son and he leaves, and then I ask Ibrahim why. We know better. We are not bullies. We stand up for you know, kids that get bullied. We don't bully people. So I don't know. He's crying and he says to me, you know, because I told him, I said, Ibrahim, this boy doesn't speak English. And I explained why it's hard for him. This is a new country. This is a new language. This is all very hard. And he cried and said that he's the only child in his classroom that doesn't speak Arabic, and they pick on him for that. So I'm not trying to make excuses for his behavior because it's unacceptable, but I'm maybe trying to understand that maybe there's a side that I'm not seeing. Like, was he first being bullied, and then was this included with this other child that because he doesn't speak Arabic, he's the only one, so they came at him first, so now he kind of felt like he was defending himself? I'm not sure, but regardless of if that was the case or not, it's not okay to return bullying. Like, you can't disrespect people. You always have to be the bigger person. And I know that I make jokes. You know, I say things that are probably inappropriate, but I don't do it in front of my kids. I make a lot of white jokes because I'm white, and I know that there are a lot of things that could be joked about with like a majority of white people, you know. So like the whole, you know, don't season your food when you cook type thing. I make jokes with my friends, but the bottom line is I don't say these things in front of my children. So he didn't get it from me, and I can say that confidently, I think. But this is hard. How do you deal with something like this? And I almost don't even want to share this because it's not embarrassing, but I feel like I'm failing and I don't know what to do. You know, and this is probably going to be a super long vlog because I'm trying to process this whole situation as I'm telling you guys about it. Yep. And there's my daughter's little fake lip ring with her pen mark on her lip. I don't know, she's having a bad day too, so we're just struggling all around. But what do you do? What do you do when you find out that your child is a bully? How do you address that? How do you correct it? How do you make sure they feel safe to talk to you about problems that might be causing this? Mama, if you want to yell, you have to go play. Yeah. I don't know what to do. So I guess I'm asking for advice or some love and support, because I feel like I'm drowning. But yeah, give me some thoughts and prayers, or some words of wisdom if you guys have them, because I refuse to let this be a continuing personality trait of my children. They will not be negatively impacting this world, because the whole purpose of me making this channel was to create change and to make it easier and better for people who might have it harder. And my own kids are literally doing the opposite of that. So I'm gonna do everything I can to change it. If that means I have to go sit in the classroom with him during the day and embarrass him to see what's happening, I'm gonna figure it out. So help me understand this situation. Give me advice if you have it. I think that's all I have. I'm gonna finish dinner. I love you guys so much, and I appreciate you for listening to me rant and whine and try not to cry a little bit. And I guess we'll talk pretty soon. I look forward to it. Love you guys.